So it's into the top 10 now for my best songs from 1966. And at number 10 is Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys. I remember when this hit the shores of the UK, it went immediately to number 1, and it seemed to be there for months because it was so good. It glided out of the radio, and it was so easy on the ear. Wilson said that the song was inspired by his mother, but he also credited his brother and Carl, his bandmate, for suggesting that he added cello to the track. And it's got a triplet beat on the chorus, which was very radical at the time. And he said it was based on the Crystals' Do Run Run, which was released a few years before and produced by Phil Spector. Van Dyke Parks offered a comment, and he suggested having the cellist play triplets for Brian. And there's certainly an indication that the song had a psychedelic anthem, an acknowledgement of flower power. And there's some really interesting musical instruments on here, untried in music pop history. For example, is the jaw harp and the electrotheremin. I got all this off Wikipedia if you're wondering, but it's certainly interesting. And each section has a distinct musical texture, and the track instrumentation changes radically from section to section. And just to give you some taste of the exquisite lyric, I'm going to just read verse 2. Close my eyes, she's somehow closer now. Softly smile, I know she must be kind. When I look in her eyes, she goes with me to Blossom World. Absolutely fantastic. So that's Good Vibrations. At 9 is When a Man Loves a Woman by Percy Sledge. It's written by Calvin Lewis and Andrew Wright, and it was recorded in Alabama. The sidemen on the recording included Spooner Oldham on organ, Marlin Green played guitar, and Albert Junior Lowe double bass, and Roger Hawkins on drums. But conspicuous by their absence was Andrew Wright and Calvin Lewis, the authors of the song, and that was because the producer got involved in a distribution deal with Jerry Wexler at Atlantic Records, and they wanted the song to be re-recorded, Wright and Lewis, because they felt the horns were out of tune. But apparently that didn't happen, and so they weren't on it. Here's an extract. When a man loves a woman, can't keep his mind on nothing else. He changed the world for the good thing he's found. If she's bad, he can't see it. She can do no wrong. Turn his back on his best friend if he put her down. Absolutely astonishing lyric and an astonishing song. So to number 8 now, and this is Summer in the City by the Loving Spoonful. A very underrated band, I felt. They had a number of hit singles in the mid-60s, and they had a very distinctive sound. And they were led by John Sebastian, who sang most of the vocals, and very accomplished. This song, written by John and his brother Mark and Steve Boone, on the album Hums of the Loving Spoonful, it had some very distinctive car horns and jackhammer noises doing the instrumental bridge to represent the sounds of a noisy city street. Very effective, I thought. And here's an extract from the lyric. Hot town, summer in the city, back of my neck getting dirty and gritty. Being down, isn't it a pity? Doesn't seem to be a shadow in the city. All around, people looking half dead, walking on the sidewalks, hotter than a match head. Yeah, I can't sing, but I can read the lyrics quickly. Summer in the City. At 7, try Little Tenderness by the iconic Otis Redding. It's written by Jimmy Campbell, Reg Connolly and Harry Wood, and was recorded by Reading with the Booker T and the MGs in the studio, and produced by one Isaac Hayes. First recorded back in 1932, I might say. But Reading's recording featured a really slow, soulful opening that eventually builds into a frenetic R&B conclusion. And it incorporated elements from a Duke Ellington Lee Gaines song. So sock it to me. Anyway, extract from the lyric. Oh, she may be weary, and young girls, they do get weary, wearing that same old shaggy dress, yeah, but when she gets weary, try a little tenderness, yeah, oh my, not. You know she's waiting, just anticipating, for things that she'll never possess, yeah, but while she's there waiting, and without them, try a little tenderness, that's all you gotta do. So prophetic. And now the lyric. Tell her to make a cambric shirt on the side of a hill in the deep forest green, parsley, sage, rosemary and thyme, tracing a sparrow on snow-created ground, without no seams nor needlework, blankets and bedclothes, the child of the mountain, then she'll be a true love of mine, sleeps unaware of the clarion call. So to 6 now, this is Scarborough Fair Canticle by Simon and Garfunkel. Paul learnt the song apparently in 1965 from Martin Carthy, a folk singer who had picked up the song from a songbook by Ewan McCall and Peggy Seeger, and he'd include it on his album in 1965. Simon and Garfunkel set it in counterpoint with Canticle, a reworking of the lyrics from Simon's 63 song The Side of a Hill, and it was set to a new melody composed mainly by Art Garfunkel. It was the lead track from Parsley, Sage, Rosemary and Thyme, and was released as a single after being featured on the Graduate soundtrack in 1968. It's an absolute joy to listen to. It creates a sort of a mood of comfort and closeness and summer and flowers. It's idyllic. At 5 then, Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles. Well, the double string quartet that Martin had used before was used on this, with the striking lyrics about loneliness. It broke sharply really with popular music conventions, both lyrically and musically, and the singing about the neglected concerns and fate of the elderly hadn't really been addressed. And Paul commented that he was sitting at the piano when the first few bars came to me. Daisy Hawkins picks up the rice in the church, and then he couldn't think of anything else, and then Father McCartney, which he then changed to Mackenzie after scarring the telephone book, and then he came up with the name Eleanor after working with Eleanor Bron in the Beatles film Help, and Rigby was the name of a store in Bristol, a store that was featured in a movie which starred his girlfriend Jane Asher, and so that all knitted together to make Eleanor Rigby, and also the lyrics. Many people still see it as a lament for lonely people, or a commentary on post-war life in Britain. And Martin, as I say, employed the classical string ensemble, using violins, violas and cellos, as he did with Yesterday. It all adds up to a remarkable piece of music. Here's a lyrical extract. Father Mackenzie, writing the words of a sermon that no one will hear. No one comes near. Look at him working, darning his socks in the night when there's nobody there. What does he care? Yeah, my voice is not as good as Paul's, but you get the gist. The 4th track selected by me is Out of Time, sang by Chris Farlow. Chris Farlow had been around for quite a bit, had a measure of success, but when he got the opportunity of singing this song that was written by Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, it was an opportunity he couldn't avoid taking up, and it was an absolute smash hit, and I love it. It's better than the Stones version. That's a rarity, I might add. And the song has just got a great R&B beat and throaty vocals from Farlow, who I followed when he worked later with Colosseum in the 70s. And here, let's have a little extract of the lyric. You don't know what's going on, you've been away for far too long, you can't come back and think you're still mine. You're out of touch, my baby, poor old-fashioned baby. I said, baby, 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 you're out of time. Yeah, go and listen to it, it's absolutely superb. So to track 3, Tell It Like It Is. This is sang by Aaron Neville, and it's one of the most beautiful soul songs I've ever heard in my life. His voice is so unique in rhythm and blues and soul music, from New Orleans, of course, and he was a member of the band the Neville Brothers with all his brothers. It's written by George Davis and Lee Diam, and Davis did get involved in the recording, playing baritone sax and arrangements, and there's some trumpet on here. Deacon John played guitar, Alvin Tyler on tenor sax, Willie T on piano, and June Gardner on drums. It's a wonderful song, and I'm gonna read you the lyric, and I make no apologies for saying that I'm going to read all of it. If you want something to play with, go and find yourself a toy. Baby, my time is too expensive, and I'm not a little boy. If you are serious, don't play with my heart. It makes me furious, but if you want me to love you, then, hey baby, I will. Girl, you know that I will. Tell it like it is. Don't be ashamed to let your conscience be your guide. But I know deep down inside me, I believe you love me. Forget your foolish pride. Life is too short to have sorrow. You may be here today and gone tomorrow. You might as well get what you want. So go on and live. Baby, go on and live. Tell it like it is. I'm nothing to play with. Go and find yourself a toy. But I tell it like it is. My time's too expensive, and I'm not your little toy. Wow, I wish the populace would take on board that lyric. It would be a far better place. So Tell It Like It Is, Aaron Neville, at number 3. So at 2 then, the iconic Reach Out and I'll Be There, written by the Motown production team of Holland Dozier Holland. A song, one of the best known songs really, from Motown in the 60s, and considered the Four Tops signature tune. Number 1 for 3 weeks in October UK, and I remember it vividly. I just couldn't get the hook out of my head, and the delivery by Levi Stubbs on lead vocals was so emphatic and so commanding. It wasn't shouting, it was more than singing, but it wasn't shouting. It's absolutely awesome. The personnel anyway, Levi Stubbs' lead vocals, background vocals by Duke Fakar, Ronaldo Obi Benson, Lawrence Payton and the Andettes, Jackie Hicks, Marlette Barrow and Leuven Depps, and the Funk Brothers were the band behind the singers. And now just a brief extract from the first verse. Now if you feel that you can't go on because all of your hope is gone and your life is filled with much confusion until happiness is just an illusion and your world around is crumbling down, darling. Oh, I can just hear it now. So to my number 1 song from 1966. It's been a great rundown here from 1 to 21, but this one stands head and shoulders. It's God Only Knows by the Beach Boys, written by Brian Wilson and Tony Asher, and came from the album Pet Sounds. Released as a single A-side but it's sang by Carl Wilson, Brian's younger brother. It's an eclectic mixture of baroque rock, pop, art pop, psychedelic rock, and it includes the use of instrumentation, French horn, accordion, sleigh bell, harpsichord, violas and cellos, such that it's been described as sort of classical in every sense of the word, almost a classical opera. And I just can never stop listening to it. The melody rises and falls with the echoes, and it's intertwines with everything that's tremendous about pop music. And I'm going to finish it off, this show, by it's a shame that copyright restricts you from playing these gems, but I'm going to read the lyrics anyway. I may not always love you, but long as there are stars above you, you never need to doubt it. I'll make you so sure about it. God only knows what I'd be without you. If you should ever leave me, though life would still go on, believe me, the world could show nothing to me. So what good would living do me? God only knows what I'd be without you. God only knows what I'd be without you. If you should ever leave me, though life would still go on, believe me, the world could show nothing to me, so what good would living do me? And then it just moves into God only knows what I'd be without you, and repeats. So anyway, that concludes my top 10 songs from 1966 to go with the other video that I did when I did 11 to 21. So next up, 1967, Licking My Lips.